Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to our closing session. My name is Aubrey Lyon, and I'm a community relations specialist with University of Iowa Healthcare. Thank you again so much for joining us today for Kids Go STEM. We hope you enjoyed your 2 breakout sessions, and we thank you so much for your patience with us as we sent you those updated links. If you missed any portions of those breakout sessions, though, we did record them all, so we will share those with you in the post-event email. Well, now you're here at your closing session for Kids Go STEM, and we are all looking forward to hearing from Dr. Mahi Ashwath on what you can do now after Kids Go STEM to continue on your path to a potential career in STEM. Just a couple reminders as we get started. Closed captioning is available for this event this morning. At the bottom of the screen, you will see a button that says CC or closed captioning. Click on live transcript and captioning should now appear on the bottom of your screen. And you are able to submit questions at any time during the program. So just click on the Q&A box down at the bottom of the screen and type in your question, and Dr. Ashwath will answer those at the end of her presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our closing speaker, Dr. Mahi Ashwath, a clinical associate professor of medicine and radiology, and the director of cardiac MRI at the University of Iowa. Dr. Ashwath is also the president of the Iowa chapter of the American College of Cardiology. And we look forward to hearing your presentation today, Dr. Ashwath. Thank you so much for joining us. I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much, Aubrey. Thank you all for joining today. And I hope you had a wonderful session so far this morning. I hope you can all see my screen okay. I'm taking that as a yes because I didn't hear a no. And I hope you all learned something interesting this morning. This is a great opportunity. I'm Mahi Ashwath. I'm a cardiologist at the University of Iowa, and I'm going to talk a little bit about STEM in general. I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, how it has been, how I ended up where I am, talk a little bit about medicine and about cardiology. So STEM, as we all know, stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And what do you need to excel in STEM? You need a curious and inquisitive mind. You need to be consistent, perseverant, and hard work. So quite a bit of dedication for a few years is what you really need. But if you do that, your opportunities are pretty much endless, whether it's the financial sector, the Wall Street, engineering, medicine, the world is essentially open to you in terms of what you can achieve and what you can do. So a few years of hard work will really pay off for you with a comfortable lifestyle for the rest of your life. So how do you get help with this process? You need guidance from probably your, I'm going to pause for just a second, I'm sorry. I'm good. Sorry. So how do you go about this process? You can get guidance from your elders, your teachers, your counselors who will kind of encourage you, support you, and guide you through this process. You also need peers who kind of have a similar mindset and commitment as you. So they are kind of you holding your hand as you walk along this process. You share similar interests, you bounce ideas of each other. That kind of keeps you motivated and keeps you going. So having a good peer circle plays an important role in the process. Along with that, good role models and mentors. And when I say role models and mentors, I'm using plural for a reason because these are usually multiple people. It's not just one person. You might think, this is my role model, but usually it's probably one aspect of them that you like, and you probably need someone else to mentor you about your educational courses, someone else about your leadership skills. So, this is where you kind of look at multiple people and try to pick which part of them you really like. So a little bit about my journey, and that is me as a 6th to an 8th grader, and this is me as a cardiologist, and it is a long journey. as a 6th to 8th grader, when I was in your shoes, I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be sure. I thought I would like to do science. I thought maybe a scientist, an astrologist, or maybe going off into space or something like that. But I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It was probably around 10th or 11th grader that I got a little more clarity about medicine. But even as a 6th to 8th grader, I knew I wanted to do science, and I kind of knew I had to work hard. So I made sure I put in my effort that is needed. And as a medical student, so after I finished the 12th grade and got into med school, that's when I kind of knew I really wanted to do cardiology. And as a cardiology fellow is when I knew I wanted to do cardiac imaging. So, the path is long. The path is long, and between medicine, med school, residency, fellowships, and it's a long process. But it's not easy. It's definitely hard work, but I can tell you it is totally, totally worth it. And you might not know exactly now what you want to do, but as you keep going along the process, as you keep moving along, you will get the clarity at some point as to as to what stimulates you. Maybe it's just math you like right now, and then you go forward and you'll think a little more clearly. Oh, I really like engineering, or I really like finance, or whatever it is. Or maybe you start with interest in the medical specialty, but you go into different directions from there. So again, a lot of branches as you keep growing, but the common pathway still remains. And regardless of what you decide you want to do and how you want to proceed, important to keep up your hard work, keep up your grades high, and try to reach your full potential. The more you read, the more you'll know, and the more you know, the more places you will go. And it's definitely hard work for a few years, but these few years of hard work will essentially give you rewards for the rest of your life. So very important to keep your focus and your interest in these few years. How is my work as a cardiologist, my day-to-day kind of a schedule? Just to give you a picture, I take care of patients in the hospital, that is inpatient, who are admitted, who are sick people. I take care of patients in the outpatient clinic who are a little more healthy, and I do a multiple different imaging modalities, whether it's ultrasounds or stress tests and cardiac MRIs and so on. And in all these settings, I'm constantly teaching, educating, and mentoring the next generation of cardiologists between medical students, residents, fellows. I have multiple levels of people who are usually with me. And I can tell you the most gratifying part of this experience for me is, one is the teaching and the mentoring part. And the second one is taking care of sick people. I mean, you really hold the hand of patients who are very sick or dying, and you're going to tell them that you're going to be taking care of them and they're going to be okay. And that is actually going to be true. And, the satisfaction you get from that is pretty much unmeasurable. And the same thing with teaching and mentoring. I mean, seeing these really young people kind of grow and blossom, and it's very gratifying to see how much potential they have and how you help them achieve them. So for me, those are the two things which mean a lot, but I just love my job, what I do every day. In my other role as the president of the Iowa chapter of the ACC, I kind of serve as an intermediary between the cardiology community in Iowa and the American College of Cardiology. The American College of Cardiology is kind of like a 55,000 organization, member organization with multiple aspects to it. So as a leader of the chapter here, I have multiple roles between education, advocacy, mentorship, promoting inclusion, diversity, so on. There's multiple things I can do and accomplish. Again, this could be a full-time job itself, but it's again very gratifying. This is one of our advocacy efforts where you can see Senator Grassley and the rest of our team over there. So in the middle of all this busy life, how does work-life balance really work? And I'm sure that's probably a question for a lot of you, because you're like, I don't want to be working all the time. I want to have a good quality of life too. And I can tell you, work-life balance is very much possible and very much achievable, regardless of which aspect you choose. This is me with my kids. I have two kids who are young. So between my different roles at work and between my kids, my life is very busy. But I wouldn't want to do anything else. I wouldn't want to do anything else beyond being a cardiologist. And regardless of what option you do, regardless of how busy it is, you will have multiple opportunities and options about picking and choosing how you want to do it. You could, for instance, I could be in private practice, I could be in academics, I could be part-time, I could be full-time. There's multiple different branches in cardiology that I could choose from. So, there's a lot of flexibility in whichever aspect you choose. But the most important thing I would think is choosing what you like to do, because you have to get up every single day, go and do the same thing every day. And it's very important for you to like what you do. And a career such as STEM kind of gave me the liberty to travel around the world and, do things which, money kind of does not become a very important issue in your day-to-day life if you have a good career. So that's one more reason for you to think about STEM. So find your passion. For you to be really good at anything, you have to be really passionate about it. And then it becomes not just a job anymore. It just kind of makes you happy doing it on a daily basis, doing it all the time. So, again, I couldn't think of doing anything other than doing cardiology. So when you find your calling, you'll kind of find yourself immersed in it. And it is not really a job, but so have a goal, work towards the goal, and it's not always going to be a smooth path. There will be setbacks, there will be hard work involved, but don't give up. If that's something that really means something for you, you should keep working on it and not give up on that. And remember, you really have endless potential. I mean, it's really up to you how far you will go. I mean, as long as you keep working hard and keep doing what you like to do, there is really endless potential in what you can achieve. And it does not matter how slowly you go or how long you go, but there will be hurdles, there will be hardships, but do not stop and keep going. And if you don't try, you will never know. So as a takeaway, STEM is an excellent option, I think, for all of you. There's endless varieties of options in terms of what you can choose. There is a few years of hard work with a lifetime of rewards. And find your passion, find what really motivates you and stimulates you. But while you find it, or while your passion finds you, either way, make sure you do the groundwork. Keep up your hard work, keep up the grades. Look into opportunities for research, mentorship, scholarships, and it's not just educational stuff that I'm talking about here. Clearly, your grades are important, but along with that, the social skills of your leadership and all those make a huge difference, because regardless of what you do, you are a leader in your daily life. I am a leader every single day when I go and round on my service with my team of residents, my students, my nurses, and so on. So all those skills will help you in the long run. So keep working on all these as you keep finding what really motivates you. So in closing, believe in yourself and your endless potential. Remember that any successful person that you look at and admire was a little kid like you some time ago. And if you have a passion, a goal, you can work towards it, and that could be you. If somebody had told me when I was at your age that I'm going to be a cardiologist and the president of a chapter and an associate professor, whatever, I probably wouldn't have believed it myself. So, believe in yourself and your endless potential, and you can pretty much reach the stars. The second thing is, make sure while you do all this process, you take care of yourself. You're all very young, and health is really not on the top of your mind, but I'm a cardiologist, so I have to say this. Take care of yourself. Your body and you are really what is going to stay with you for the rest of your journey as you go along. So make sure you take care of your physical health, your mental health, and give time for yourself too along with this process. And thank you, and I wish you all the very best of luck.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ashwath. We have a lot of questions that have come in. and we have about 14 minutes to talk through them. So let's get started. One that was asked quite a few times was, what is your favorite part of your job?
So I think the favorite part of my job is, again, I'm a cardiologist, so uh, quite a few times there are situations where probably the patient would have essentially died if we didn't take care of them. So it's in a way a life-saving experience. And when you see the satisfaction on on the patient's faces, their family and the appreciation, that that really pretty much trumps everything for me. And again, the second thing I would say is when I mentor and educate people, and when they grow and they flourish and they come up and you see how much potential they have and how much they have achieved, and they come and say, "Oh, thank you for being my mentor," whatever. That's, I would say, that's the second most gratifying thing for me.
And there's another question. What was your residency like? And could you maybe also just remind everyone what residency is, just in case they don't know?
Sure. So you do grad school, which usually is 4 years. I trained in India, so I didn't do grad school. I went from 12th grade to med school, so it's a little different pathway. But after grad school, you go to med school, which is again 4 years. Grad school is pretty much like college, which I'm sure you all know what life is like. Med school is a little more intense. You after the first year to year and a half, you're actually in the hospital, kind of shadowing us, rounding on the patients, taking care of patients, and you're kind of monitored and you watched all along, but you're given quite a bit of independence too. So that's where you learn how to take care of patients, but also how to interact with families, how to develop those relationships, and how to communicate. And again, there's not too much leeway in terms of making mistakes in medicine because you're dealing with patients' lives. So you really also kind of get the sense of responsibility that is being entrusted to you on how best to handle it. After med school comes residency. So residency is actually the first point where you get paid. So, and it's not a bad pay. It's a lot of work. It's intense work. But again, you are going to be using those skills. 3 years of residency usually for me, for cardiology. For surgery, it's a little longer. But those are the skills that you use for the rest of your life to take care of your patients and save lives. So very, very important part of your training residency. You end up staying in the hospitals overnight. You also develop very close relationship with your co-residents and your faculty because again, it's can be a little high stress situation sometimes if the patients are not doing well or whatever. And then you develop very strong relationship because you spend so much time with these people, for so long and in such strong settings. So residency is the first time you get paid, and it's a lot of hard work for sure, but it's again worth it. After that, people can just go and start working and practicing and just be internists if they want to. Again, I wanted to do cardiology, so I spent another extra 3 years as a fellow. And fellowship can be hard and can be intense too. It's probably a little less intense than residency, but it's pretty hard, pretty intense. And again, this is where you're learning your skills about how to take care of patients and how to manage very complicated, tricky patients. So important part of your training there. So again, residency and fellowship, you do get paid. It's not the same as you would as a faculty or an attending after your graduation, but that definitely helps.
And how did you know that you wanted to be a cardiologist?
So it's kind of accidental, I would say. I was in med school. I walked into a patient's room and I saw an ultrasound being performed, an echocardiogram. For those of you who know, echo is like an ultrasound. It's like sound beams. You send sound beams into the patient's chest, and then you get pictures, like the pictures of the heart. And I saw the pictures of the heart and what you could see and how it was working. And then I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. That was kind of my first love kind of a thing at the time. But clearly after that, I spent time and made sure that it would work for me. I was a little hesitant, I'll be honest, because cardiology could be an intense field. and be having a family and everything else, I was a little hesitant about how it would work for me. Cardiology also involves doing angiograms and other procedures which involve radiation, and radiation is something I was a little hesitant about too. But looking back, I completely made the right choice because I couldn't be happier doing anything else. And even if you pick a busy specialty, you have enough flexibility in your options in choosing what exactly you want to do. So I kind of picked academics because that works for me with my family, with my kids, helps me take care of my patients, but do these other things on the side, like being the president, helps me with doing the education and the mentorship. So again, there's a lot of opportunities what you can do, but do not compromise on what you think you like because you worry about later. Because I almost did, so I can tell you, do not do that.
And could you talk a little bit about if you received any scholarships along your many years of education that you went through?
So again, I did my med school in India, and I went to one of the very good colleges over there. So the tuition itself was not very high where I went to, so I did not need a scholarship. But I know many people who get scholarships. So again, working towards scholarships with keeping your grades high, checking with your counselors and stuff about how you can get through. I am aware of many people who have been very successful in getting scholarships. So and I know that some of the scholarships are not even given away because people are not aware of them and not applying for them, kind of thing. So being aware of these things and applying for those is very important. I didn't receive, but I know many people who did. So yes, I would highly encourage you to do it. But in applying for the scholarships, again, keeping your grades high, keeping your motivation high, working towards it plays an important role.
And could you talk about some of the most difficult parts of your job? I'm sure there are many.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many, right, in life. So, I think part of probably the difficult parts of my life is, well, as a trainee, I would say, as a trainee, as a fellow, and um, as a resident. I didn't have kids as a resident. I had kids as a fellow. But when you have kids as a fellow, it gets pretty hard. Again, your work hours could be long, could be brutal. You'll be overnight, so getting enough childcare and support and everything else accomplished. That was probably one of the toughest parts of my life, I would say, because again, I was doing a cardiology fellowship, which is very intense, and the kids can probably talk to their parents, and they'll know how hard it is in the first year of the child's life. So kind of balancing those two was probably the most trickiest part for me if I look through my whole career. But at this time, I think the difficult part, for the most part, for most physicians, would be dealing with insurance companies and the kind of the billing and the other logistics which kind of accompany it. Again, as part of the ACC and stuff, we work on those issues, but definitely anything can be improved on. So just the paperwork and the logistics, I would say.
And what made you so interested in science?
Um, I don't think I have a good answer for that. But I was always intrigued pretty much by all the scientists and their achievements. And as I was growing up, actually, physics was my main interest. Then biology was, later on I shifted towards biology. But I think just the scientists and the discoveries and everything else. And to be honest, when I was growing up, we didn't have internet. There was no internet. It was more of the books, the encyclopedias. And I would actually go and look up those encyclopedias and read up about these scientists and their life stories. And it still fascinates me about what people have achieved in and discovered. I mean, I'm just using whatever they discovered, but for those people to actually discover those, I think it's amazing. So I think I was kind of motivated just kind of knowing about those things. And again, I think your peers, the people you hang out with, your school environment, your teachers, they all kind of are feeding those to you. It's just what bits and what pieces you pick on and you move along. So if you have your motivation and you kind of have your right group and you definitely, I'm sure, have all the right guidance on the counselors and everything else, you can work on. Again, a long process, but I'm sure you all can do it.
Did anyone ever tell you your dream won't come true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially when I was planning to become a cardiologist, I had a lot of people discourage me. And I've been a cardiologist for almost 10 years now. So you see more women in cardiology now, but at the time it was much lesser. And there were a lot of people discouraging me about trying to be a cardiologist because it's like, oh, that's usually not what women do, kind of a thing. So um, don't don't let the noise of others' voices ever destroy your dreams, right? This is Steve Jobs who said this, but I'm just borrowing his quote, but that's entirely true. I mean, you listen to your dreams and listen to what others are saying, but don't let it kind of numb out what you want to do, because your inner voice is really still speaking to you. So yeah, I hesitated, to be honest. Again, I hesitated, but I said I want to give it a try, and so I'm happy I did.
Okay, and we are going to end with this question, and it's a pretty popular one. What would you be doing if you were not a cardiologist?
I have no idea. But I think my second love was really physics. So I would have gone somewhere in the direction of physics. So definitely science is something which captured my imagination. I was reasonably good at math too, but more than math, I kind of leaned towards science. It was just more stimulating for me mentally, I think. But I would have probably gone somewhere in the direction of physics. I'm looking at.
Okay.
Did you want to give up at times? I don't think I ever wanted to give up. To be honest, I really love my job. So, as tiring and as exhausting it gets, there are days when it does get tiring and exhausting. But I don't think I ever want to give up my job. How does it feel like to save a patient? And there's nothing more gratifying than saving a life, and that patient comes back and tells you, "Thank you very much for for saving me or saving my father or whoever it is." And that nothing really beats it. It's very gratifying.
Okay, and this might be a good note to end on. What would be the best way to keep your motivation and not procrastinate so much?
I think procrastination, I think to a certain degree, everybody will do. I mean, we are people, we are humans, we are not machines. So I think, have realistic expectations. And again, I'm guessing if you're a seventh grader, the next 5 years are very important for you. And you can't be a machine for 5 years, right? So uh, keep keep your focus. There's something called a WIG. I have once heard it's called a widely important goal, the WIG or wildly important goal. So have it in the back of your mind, like, this is my WIG, this is my wildly important goal that I want to reach at whatever point in 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So you should have a 1 year goal, a 5 year goal, and have a plan about how you're working on it. But do not, again, do not push yourself to the degree of feeling exhausted and giving up. So make sure you give time for yourself. Make sure you take a break. Make sure you do other things. So you don't, you should not be studying all the time, right? Like, all work and no play makes you a dull person, right? So make sure you keep time for other things, but do not ever lose your focus on your goal. And I think taking the breaks is really what helps you also put time on the goal. But no, your breaks are just breaks. They're not the rest of the day, right? So
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ashwath. I think that is just incredible advice to end on. We thank you so much for your time this morning. Just a reminder to all of our attendees, and another thank you for your patience with us this morning with some of our breakout session technical difficulties. We will be sending a post-event email that'll be sent within the next week. So that will include content for parents. It'll include those recorded sessions, the recorded breakout sessions from this morning, and just other helpful links that will continue to help you on your journey and interest in STEM. So also a reminder, students, you should have received a survey link in your last session. If you missed that at all, we'll make sure that you get that in a follow-up email as well. We thank you all so much for spending your time with us this Saturday morning, and we hope to see you at future programs. Thank you.
Good luck to you all.